You're listening to episode 23 of Fresh Floppies, now with double the hosts.
What's up to all our sidekicks and henchfolk out there in the Geek Nation? Yes, as previously noted, there is more than one voice on this microphone talking about spoiler-free reviews of comics that are coming out today. This is Fresh Floppies, episode 23. It's been a weird couple of weeks, but we're back.
We never left.
With nasal blockage, but coming in hot about this week's comic books. Last week I was away. JD graciously
went by his onesies.
Went by onesies. We're gonna
by onesies.
By your onesies.
Yeah.
Just,
I'll buy my onesies.
By the seat of your onesies.
Yeah.
But you had the pleasure of talking about an incredibly disturbing comic book that came out last week that I also read.
No.
No. Last week you didn't talk about.
I didn't talk about X-Men.
I
didn't read Hellfire Gala until after I recorded the episode.
All right,
I was like, that should have been the entire episode. Was Hellfire Gala.
We're gonna talk briefly about Hellfire Gala. We gotta. Well, the first book we're gonna talk about today is X-Men number 25, written by Jerry Duggan and art by. Should have looked this up. Oh,
Stefano
Joshua
Caselli.
Joshua Caselli.
No.
Oh, Casura is the other one.
Stefano Caselli.
Sorry. The Joshua Casura has been doing the art on this book for a while.
Oh, okay.
So sorry.
Well,
anyway.
I haven't been reading this book for a while. I fell off of the X-Men. I came in strong with the Hickman stuff, and I was on board, and I was reading every X-Men book, and then slowly but surely, as the books changed over hands and changed titles, and then more were added, I just lost track, and it just felt too much like homework. So I haven't been reading X-Men for the past 2 years minimum. And then I was like, you know what? Before any of the hubbub, I was like, oh, there's a new Hellfire Gala on the shelf. Let me just dip in and take a look at it.
I have read a little bit more than you have.
Mm-hmm.
We all started out strong, all the Hickman stuff.
Yeah.
And then definitely read the first arc of every single book. It was like 6 books.
Yeah.
Dropped off all of them except X-Men. Mm-hmm. And read all of that all the way through until Hickman left. And I did read the first, I want to say 2 arcs of the Duggan run. Yeah. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
It's like solid. It was fine. And then have been gone back and read a couple things here and there. But no, it's not something I read all the time. It does feel like homework. There are 72 X-Men books all happening.
Each week.
It's like, hey, are you interested in this story? Cool. Are you also interested in what happens with the janitor in the corner of that other book for 17 issues? Yeah. Like, I don't know.
It's too much.
Yeah, it's way too much. It's way too in the weeds. So, yes, I also fell off. But, unlike you, I have been dipping in here and there. Like, I've been reading every Hellfire Gala issue because it's usually, like, an annual every year the last, 3 years. So, I've always been reading those. I will, pay attention here or there. I think I've read an event or two. Like, even though I wasn't reading the books, I read Inferno. Even though I wasn't reading the books, I read Sins of Sinister. Even here and there.
The big beats.
Yeah. So a little bit more clarity. However, you could just jump into Hellfire Gala number 1, and you could leave away scathed.
I couldn't believe it. At first, it was funny to me. At first, the big reveal that happens when they introduce the new team of X-Men, I cackled. But then, as the book went on, I just got sadder and sadder. And it was just they're calling it the Mutant Massacre, which I like, as opposed to the previous Mutant Massacre. What was the previous Mutant Massacre? Do you remember?
No.
I never read it. This was the mutants being massacred.
Was it just a metaphor last time?
I think so.
Look, if I had $5 for every time that there's a genocide happens to the mutants.
To the poor mutants.
Yeah, like we got Genosha, we got the legacy virus, we got this is it, because of the history of the X-Men. We should have saw something like this coming. Yeah. But it happened so brutally.
And it's called The Fall of X.
Yeah.
We know what the next wave of the X-Men books is called.
Yeah.
And still I was like, oh my God.
I think I saw someone online mention. So Orcus is the big bad. They've been, honestly, they've been the big bad since Jump. They were introduced in Hoxpox. But someone on Twitter had mentioned, sometimes the bad guys have to win And that's what makes good stories, and that's what makes good bad guys.
Yeah.
They handily won.
Yeah.
So like without giving out every single beat of a book that happened a week ago, because this show's about books this week.
That's right.
We were uncertain as to where this story is going to continue. Like, is it just a one-shot story and then got to read 17 books?
Yeah.
Or what's like the next thing to logically or naturally read? So we both picked up X-Men number 25. And what were your thoughts about this book? The first in the Fall of X. Does it actually have a Fall of X number on it?
No, it just says Fall of
X.
X.
I wish they did the little
That
things
would be
of like
wonderful if they gave you an actual reading order. First of all, with presentation, it is a double thicky boy. It's a biggin. And the cover I have has the return of Shadowcat. And you've got
the Mark Brooks cover, the panel heads.
Yeah, that they used
like
to have
the old
back in
school
the
panel
80s.
heads. Yeah, this is a great cover.
On the upper left corner, they would have like just a bunch of different heads of the characters involved that week. And this is the return of Shadowcat. So my favorite X-Men has, since House of X, been Kitty Pryde. Catherine Pryde, that's true. And Kate. And she is a decidedly different character after the Fall of X. Mm-hmm. And I am so here for it. She's doing the Lord's work, much in the way that I would love, that film, First Class X-Men? And they've got that whole Magneto versus Nazis scene. I would just like a series of movies of Magneto murdering Nazis. I want just comics of...
Shadowcat
annihilating,
hunting and taking down
Orcus
members. And what did you think of just this? The whole issue, yeah.
Oh, it's great. I think it's you need to read it if you're into the X-Men and you read last week's book. You should probably pick up X-Men 25. It picks up where everything left off, and it deals with a whole bunch of fallout from that issue. So they're picking up what happened last week. And they're running with it, and they're showing you what direction they're going in with the different books that are going to be coming out.
I got to tell you, for me, this was because it's a double-sized issue. It was like a tale of two issues.
Yes.
The first half, I found very sleepy, very boring. It was like table setting that was. I understood what it was, but it was also kind of like. I didn't roll my eyes, but my eyes were feeling itchy, like they needed to be rolled, and so like almost rolled. There's a couple of things that were just like so awkwardly inserted of like table setting for other series. There's table setting for the new Uncanny Avengers series. There's table setting for Kamala's new series. There's table setting for Children of the Vault. Like there's a bunch of in the first half of this book. There's a bunch of like almost inorganically feeling inserted scenes because like this is the primer,
right?
But then the second half of the issue like
I would
the
say
actual
starting with Miss Marvel,
the actual issue, because it does feel like the first half of this is recap and setup, but the actual story of Kate is 10 times better than anything else I read in the previous 10 pages.
So good.
It is. I was so bored for the first half of this issue. Like, yeah, okay, I get it. Ooh, look at all these other things that we get to read soon. Great. Yeah. But then as soon as it just becomes the actual story that Jerry Duggan seems like he wants to tell, holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I wasn't bored in the beginning, but I do understand what you're saying. It was just like okay, table dressing.
Yeah, it was like cool. There's the we are so used to the language of comic books that there's sometimes when your eyes glaze over and you're like, you're reading it, you get it, but it's like, I know that this isn't actually super important. Let's move. And the first half of this book felt like that to me. Like, okay, cool. But as soon as it got to
literally where the
Kill
staples,
Bill of it all,
where the staples happen, the book, that's when the book picks up.
Agreed. But and I also too found it. So I'll spoil one element of this book, the Miss Marvel of it all. Mm-hmm. I found it weird-ish to have. The way that they handle it, it was a little awkward to me. The way that they handle with her family, and then the way that they handle this very important conversation. It seems like it's a very important conversation between Kamala and Emma. Mm-hmm. And then a page later,
herself Hazel for some reason,
because she's undercover.
Yeah.
And then a page later, it's you didn't listen to me.
Yeah.
That seems like that's something. it seems like a story between those 2 pages
Right.
that aren't serviced in this book, so it's awkward.
It's a quick jump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that seems like a conflict that's going to be serviced in a whole nother miniseries. Here, didn't even have to be a scene.
Yeah.
Because it's issues like this, you get like a brief rundown of what's going on before you read the other stuff, and it just feels inserted as opposed to part of the story that's being told.
Yeah, you would think that it would end with them at Kamala's house and then Emma leaving, and then maybe the next issue would have this scene. But it's like, no, immediately, which I kind of almost appreciate because she's a teenager and they have this whole big thing like, okay, you stay here, you're going to be safe, stay out of trouble. And it's immediately like, sorry, Miss Frost. I'm here. I can't stop myself. So it didn't bother me, but it was
none of this bothered me.
Disjointed.
It felt like I could see somebody picking this up like, oh, Fall of X, what's that? This is a good jumping on point. Let's go. And being a little kind of samesies bored with the first half. But if you're there on the fence, just follow through because the back half is something that is one of the most exciting things I've read in an X-Men book for a long time.
Yeah, man. The Kate Pride bit was just some of her technique is amazing.
Sync refers to her as a Wolverine in this book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the team needs a Wolverine.
And that's Kate now.
Yeah.
Who's Shadowcat.
Yeah.
She's... Oh, I also love that the title of this issue is Grindhouse of X. Oh, wait, no, it's not. Hold on a second. It's X-Men from the Shadows. But then, if you look over here on the other side of that, Grindhouse of X. I thought that was the name of the issue, but I guess not.
Maybe it's the name of the arc.
Yeah, the fall of X has begun.
And then I get not upset but discouraged by the next issues following the fall. It's like 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different books, 9 different books.
Yeah, Astonishing Iceman, Children of the Vault,
Ghost
Rider Wolverine, Weapons of Vengeance Alpha,
which I will read.
Immortal X-Men, Alpha Flight #1, Dark X-Men #1, Ghost Rider 17, Uncanny Avengers #1, and X-Men Red #14. So I imagine you can just read whatever.
I was going to say just like with the beginning of the Krakoa era.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 of these books will matter in regards to the overarching spine of the plot, not necessarily like if you're enjoying Ghost Rider, go for it. Rad. I love you. But is it important to the fall of X? Probably not.
I'm going to do what I usually do, which is just follow Shadowcat wherever she goes.
You know what? That's the way to go.
Kate's my gal.
Like,
hold fast.
Or you know what I will probably do? I will follow Jerry Duggan because he seems to be the main writer now.
Yeah, he is killing it. Yeah, he's the Hickman now.
Yeah, he's the Hickman now. So he wrote the Hellfire Gala. He's writing the main X-Men book, and I think he's writing something else. I don't know. Yeah, but we'll just follow him.
Fresh as frick. This is a pretty fresh book.
It's freaking fresh. It's super freaking fresh. I'm going to talk about a book really quickly. It's this small character I've never heard of. Venom? I think I'm saying it right. Death of Venomverse #1, written by Cullen Bunn with art by Rafa Sandoval.
Hot on the heels of Extreme Venomverse.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm not following along with. I don't like Venom.
Oh, I like him, but not enough to do all this.
I don't like Venom. I on the books is loving the Kate's run, but because it wasn't really classic Venom, it was just like using classic Venom doing something different. So like I like this subversion of Venom, not necessarily like, oh, he's rad and dark and chains and rad. Like no, I like it when it's subverts expectations, not necessarily delves into them. Or like I don't care for Spawn, same thing. Yeah. So I read this with tongue in cheek and or like let's see. This is weird and interesting, but weird, but also a little interesting. Cullen Bunn, Rafa Sandoval. Okay. So having read the Kate's run, I do know that like the King in Black can see or go through all symbiotes across the multiverse, right? Like you can insert yourself in any of them. Somewhere between now and then, it seems as though Carnage, no longer with a symbiote, he is fully autonomous. Cassidy? Carnage, no symbiote. Or no host.
No host.
Just the symbiote.
Gotcha.
he has decided the only thing that he needs to do is just kill all Venoms across the whole multiverse. So he is going from multiverse to multiverse and killing Venoms.
So he's the Morlun.
Yeah,
the Spider-Verse.
basically he's Morlun. He's also absorbing their energies like Morlun.
Like Morlun.
So he's gaining new abilities every one that he kills going through. And you've got 2 cop-style characters, an Agent Venom from Earth 1051 and Virus from Earth 1051, 2 characters that were introduced in Kate's run, a former girlfriend and a version of Max Gargan with like a pieced together suit. And they are always a step behind this Carnage who's going through the multiverse killing other Venoms. And they introduce a couple of different Venoms in here that are really funny. Like you've got a Wolverine Venom that's Laura, but you've also got like an Ant-Man Venom, and he turns into Giant Man and his foot is the mouth.
Oh, gross. That's awesome.
It's just so much cool, like weird gross stuff. And they're just he's plowing through and you get to meet a bunch of different Venoms, and this book is stupid. Mm-hmm. But it's a good stupid.
Okay. I like it stupid.
This is like a fun. So over the break I had read. I did read the Dan Slott Spider-Man End of Spider-Verse trade paperback. The first 7 issues where it's just kind of a big Spider-Verse story.
Yeah.
This scratches the same dummy itch.
Nice.
Of like just this is silly as hell. Okay. I don't know if I'm as invested enough to finish it, but it ends with like the Symbiote 6. Fighting against Venom and Carnage. You've got like, look at that weirdo.
That's funny.
The Craven version of a symbiote. Yeah. So it's if you're in the bag for this Venom stuff, this is fun as hell.
Symbiote 6. I like that.
It's not the worst thing. I would say this is like fresh enough. This definitely like as somebody that came into it almost unwillingly. This was pretty fun.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
All right. I read a book, a new series has started this week by Rick Remender and Max Fiumara with colors by Dave McCaig. And this is a weird fantasy book.
Yeah.
Which I'm quite taken with immediately. So we have 2 different stories of different families that dovetail at the end. We've got a family of sort of blue beak-having bird humans.
Beak-having
bird humans. And it's a small cottage on a farm. There's a mother and a father and 4 kids having dinner at the dinner table. And then we see another bird person kind of looking in the window, and then the dad takes him into the barn and whoops his butt and leaves him there. And then the other little children have snuck food away from the dinner table to kind of bring it to this other character who's in a barn. We don't really know who that is and why he's been excommunicated from the family. Mm-hmm. And then we cut to, big title page, The Sacrificers. And then we cut to sort of a fire-haired, blue-skinned woman, and she's in the middle of her studies. She's a teenager. Her father is mostly made of fire, and they almost appear to be the royalty. And then there are a way that these 2 families eventually interconnect. But I don't want to spoil it. It's very pretty. Max Fiumara drew the hell out of it. The colors are gorgeous by Dave McCaig. This, if you're looking for a brand new Rick Remender series to jump into, I highly recommend it. It's actually off to a really strong start. I'm curious about how things are going to move forward, and it is a little bit sad, but...
that's most of his books.
Yeah. He's a dour gentleman. But this is off to a great start.
Looking at Max Fiumara, yes, 4 Eyes is what I knew right away. It's a two mini-series with Joe Kelly about a kid and his dragon. And... Max has done a ton of stuff, but doesn't seem like he's been on series for long. So, like, some Spider-Man, some Star Wars, some Lucifer, some some Dark Horse stuff, some Magnolaverse stuff. Like, he's just all over the place. Very journeyman.
The character designs on this are really, really nice.
Yeah, this is
once you get to the Fire folks, the Fire royalty family, very cool design choices.
Rick Remender surrounds himself with the greatest artists. Just period.
Yeah.
Right? The last one that just finished up. Actually, I don't know. I can't even keep track. Righteous Thirst for Vengeance, Scumbag.
Low.
I mean, just the most recent one. Low was a couple years ago. And then it looks like he's got a new book coming out called The Holy Roller, co-written with Andy Samberg.
Yeah, I'm curious about that.
And well, I mean, it's a bowler, so I'm in.
So,
this looks rad.
This is fresh as fuck.
It's faff.
Highly recommend. It's faff.
Faff. I think that we should talk about
Superman?
A new book called Superman.
Adventures of Superman, John Kent, number 6. This wraps up the Injustice saga, 6-issue miniseries. But fear not, friends, there's more John Kent on the way. But I was reading this. I actually read 5 and 6 this morning because I realized I missed the last issue. So I wrapped up that, and there's a whole big lead up to John Kent trying to take down the multiversal version of his dad, which like you were just talking about with Carnage and Venom. There was a character going through the multiverse killing Superman. And surprisingly, he gets dispatched pretty quickly halfway through the series, and we're left with John Kent having to deal with appearing in the Injustice universe. And he has to systematically take down the quote-unquote bad Justice League in order to get to his dad. And his final confrontation with his dad put my heart in my throat.
Oh, yeah.
I'm faster than him. I'm stronger than him for a little bit because he charged up in the sun. Mm-hmm. But then the choice that is made there, I turned the page and I choked.
So I realized halfway through this series, not even halfway through this issue, that Tom Taylor has kind of painted himself into a corner as not actually being able to change anything
in
the Injustice universe. Yeah. Because this seems as though it takes place between Injustice and Injustice 2.
Mm-hmm. I wasn't 100% sure. I had no idea because I haven't read all of Injustice.
The beginning of Injustice 2, I haven't read them all either, but I just know that at the beginning of the game, Superman is captured.
Oh, yes.
And he's imprisoned by Batman and whatnot, and other stuff happens.
Yeah, I forgot.
So this appears as though this is like during the first reign of his injusticeness. So I kind of already knew, like, no, you're not going to defeat, to necessarily in any kind of like substantial way, air quotes, defeat this or change this world. So what are you going to do in order to kind of like
put a button on this
or create some sort of sense of closure, since this is the last issue?
Yeah.
And the first half of this issue was so good. You're like, John Kent is my Superman.
He's real good, man. This kid is so good. I love this kid. This kid's awesome.
He systematically takes out, and air quotes, takes out the Justice League.
The Flash, Wonder Woman.
But he does it in such intelligent ways.
Yeah.
Like, knowing these people, he does it in such intelligent ways, and it's really great. Like, I think a lesser hero and also a lesser writer would just have a bunch of fights.
Yeah.
And yes, the way that it's kind of concluded, on one hand, I felt like, oh, that happened really fast and kind of anticlimactically, but then I also was like, no, it was pretty perfect.
No, I didn't feel that at all.
No, not that conflict. I'm talking about the way that the actual issue ended with boop, okay.
I see.
Like, it almost undercut how good that section was.
I was happy that it was like, boop, okay, to be continued. I was like, oh,
well,
good.
The to be continued is cool.
We're not done yet.
But we're not done with John.
Right.
We're done with this, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This part, I thought, was a little really quick.
Okay.
Like a button.
Sure.
Literally, a button was pressed.
Okay.
And this section of the conflict is gone. Now, I want John Kent stories forever.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm talking about. I just mean, like, this did feel like this really self-contained arc with, like, a little continue at the end. And the characterization is the strongest part of all of this.
Oh, absolutely.
All of this.
So good.
I think the only misstep that this entire 6-issue miniseries had was Clayton Henry didn't draw one issue.
Oh, he should have drawn. What? Oh, did he not?
Yeah, he didn't draw, I think, like 4.
Oh, no
and
kidding.
It was Derek Robertson.
That's right.
I mean, I can knock Derek Robertson, but no knock to Derek Robertson, except it has nothing like Clayton Henry. Yeah. Like, get Tim Sims or John Sims to do something, like somebody that has the same kind of like airy brightness of Clayton Henry, not like The Boys' David Robertson.
Yeah.
Or Derek Robertson.
It wasn't quite as egregious as Bat and the Cat.
Oh, I don't want to talk about
Liam
that.
Sharp shows up.
Those issues didn't exist.
Yeah. But this was also Fresh AF.
Yeah, it was a really great
So
week in
good.
comic books. And before we
up.
wrap up, I'll talk about. I feel like in the months of July and August, we must mention Night Terrors.
Of course.
In some way, shape, or form, considering it's taken over the entire line. So I want to talk about Night Terrors, Batman #2. Yeah, sure. This was anybody that remembers Night Terrors volume or Night Terrors Batman, Night Terrors Batman.
Yeah.
#1. I think we both liked more than Night Terrors, the main book. It almost did a better job of setting up the conflict, setting up the ordinary world and the rules of like all of these heroes being asleep and what's happening.
Yeah.
And it had a really dope cliffhanger.
Oh, this art is so good.
So yeah, this is written by Joshua Williamson, who's the architect of this event, and the art by Gillum March, who I've had a hit or miss relationship with, but this art is really great. This is a continuation of Inside Batman's Head. Now, Batman, being Batman, has contingencies in place when it comes to if somebody tries to put him to sleep, how to stay awake.
Yeah.
However, he's unable to kind of activate them because in the real world, Deadman is taking over his body.
That's right.
So
Which I find delightful.
He keeps getting stuck back and forth. And this is this issue is just, it's a side issue, but it's a good one of him traversing his own nightmares in order to try and get to, I guess, the top to take his body back from Deadman. And then if and when he does, things might be a little off on the outside. So like this book reads like it's not connected to an event, which is great. But then the last 5 pages are the event or where it takes place in the event, and it almost kind of takes it out.
Oh.
Like this could have, and this is a strength of the book, these 2 issues could have easily just been a 2-issue arc of any Batman book and really strong. Yeah. Which on one hand makes them really great event tie-ins because they're not really contingent or matter. But then the whole conclusion rips it right back into the event in a way that's fine. Yeah. Like, find out more. I'm like, oh, okay. Like I almost, it's very fresh because it made me forget it was a part of an event. But then it's fresh enough because, god damn it, it's still the event. Yeah. Like, this could have just been really strong. So like it was definitely a worth read. There's 82 Night Terrors books. If you're reading at least some of them, I would definitely suggest getting the Batman one. Yeah. The Batman one and the Superman one have been the best so far. Yeah.
Agreed.
Both by Joshua Williamson.
The Ravager one was good too.
I have yet to read it.
It's good. All right. Is there anything? What are you excited for?
Well, I'm excited to read Sacrificers.
Yeah.
I am mildly curious / excited about the second issue of Christopher Chaos because both of us, the oddly pedestrian life of Christopher Chaos. Ugh. Both of us were like kind of into the first issue, but didn't super love the first issue. Like, it's a really good potential start. Yeah. So like this second issue, I think is
make or break.
Yeah, it's got a lot of weight.
Yeah, it's got some work to do.
What about you? Anything?
I am excited for. What am I excited for? Amazing Spider-Man Annual. I'll read that.
It's got your best friend in it.
It's got Hallows Eve as well as Chasm, the Ben Reilly.
He's now Chasm forever. None of this Scarlet Spider stuff.
He's Scarlet Spider. I actually just got in a Scarlet Spider action figure. It's him from the Beyond Corporation suit. He's got the cool spider on the side. Oh yeah, and then he's got the big Todd McFarlane eyes on the mask, which you don't get a lot in the action figure. So I actually saw it and I was like, I'm going to pick that up. So yeah.
Where'd you get that? Did you for your shop or? Oh, nice. Yeah. Very nice.
Pretty dope. All right, y'all. Email us at cultpopgo@gmail.com. Also, tonight is Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. We're going to be live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. And we're going to be doing a rundown of
Secret Invasion.
And pretty much the Marvel TV shows.
We'll recap our thoughts on Secret Invasion. And then I guess we're ranking or rankings. Just maybe top 3. There's like 9 now. Yeah. It would take a while.
Yeah. It's going to take a little bit. So join us for that and tell us what you think of the Marvel Disney Plus shows. Yeah. Oh, we're not going to include like the Netflix shows, are we?
we shouldn't.
We shouldn't, because it's
Yeah.
Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right. We love you.
we'll talk at you later.
Do-do-do.
Bye. Diddly-diddly-diddly-diddly-do.
66 on DVD. Said, baby, do you want to come home with me? I got Buffalo 66 on DVD. Count me in. 3, 2, 1. Let's begin.
Thank you for listening to the CultPop Network, home to podcasts, live shows, and a whole lot of fun stuff for every flavor of fan. Follow us wherever you find your favorite podcasts, and be sure to join us live every Wednesday night at youtube.com/CultPopGo at 8 p.m. Eastern. While you're there, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you'll know when we drop new Thunder Rounds and episodes of Fresh Floppies, a spoiler-free show about single-issue comics released each week. Until then, we'll talk at you later.